Imagine getting arrested, for chewing gum, or fined because your car is dirty, and this one's completely real, breaking the law by dying. These aren't jokes. These are real enforced laws that exist right now, in 2026, all over the world. Some are ancient relics that nobody bothered to remove. Some are surprisingly logical once you know the backstory. And a few, there's just no explanation. Let's start with one of the most famous ones. In Singapore, chewing gum has been flat out banned since 1992. Not just littering gum, buying it, selling it, bringing it in. All illegal. Why? Because back in the 80s, people were sticking gum on the sensors of the brand new MRT train doors, causing massive transit delays. The government had zero tolerance for it. There are medical exceptions. Nicotine gum and dental gum can be obtained through a doctor or pharmacist. But recreational gum, forget it. Penalties can include fines and even jail time for repeat offenders or traffickers. And here's the wild part. It works. Singapore is consistently ranked one of the cleanest cities on the planet. Longyearbyen is a small town in the Svalbard archipelago in Norway, sitting above the Arctic Circle. It's remote, it's cold, and here's the thing. You cannot be buried there. Why? Because the permafrost is so extreme that bodies literally don't decompose. Decades-old corpses have been exhumed and found perfectly preserved, and scientists actually discovered traces of the 1918 Spanish flu virus still intact in one of them. So the town made a rule. If you're terminally ill or aging, you get transported to mainland Norway. Dying there isn't technically illegal, but being buried there is. If you die unexpectedly, your body is flown out. It might be the most practical weird law on this list. Japan's Metabo law, named after metabolic syndrome, is one of the most jaw-dropping health regulations in the world, and it's completely real. Since 2008, Japanese citizens between the ages of 40 and 74 are required to have their waistlines measured at their annual health checkups. The limits are 33.5 inches for men and 35.4 inches for women. If you exceed those measurements, you're referred to diet counseling or health education programs. Companies and local governments can even be fined by the national government if too many of their employees or residents fail to check. The goal was to cut Japan's obesity rate, which for context is already one of the lowest in the world, at around 3 to 4%. So this law is essentially battling a problem most countries would dream of having. In the tiny French village of Sapouron, near Bordeaux, the mayor issued an official decree back in 2008 that is almost too absurd to believe. The village cemetery had run out of space. New plots couldn't be built due to land restrictions. So the mayor's solution? He passed a law stating that it is forbidden to die in the commune unless you already own a burial plot there. And I kid you not, the actual decree reportedly warned that offenders would be severely punished. Now, nobody has figured out exactly how you punish someone post-mortem, but the law technically still stands, making it one of the most surreal pieces of legislation in Europe. Under the UK's Salmon Act of 1986, it is illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances. I'll give you a moment with that. The law was actually designed to combat illegal fishing and black market poaching of salmon, a genuinely serious issue in British rivers at the time. But the wording, nobody ever clearly defined what suspicious means in the context of holding a fish. The law is still on the books, so if you're ever in Britain and someone hands you a salmon in what could be described as a dodgy manner, technically you're both criminals. Denmark takes naming your child extremely seriously. Parents must choose from a government-approved list of around 7,000 names. If you want something outside the list, you have to apply through your local church and wait for government officials to review it. Names that have been rejected include Anus, Pluto, and Monkey. Fair enough. But the government has also turned down unconventional spellings of perfectly normal names, like Christian instead of Christian. The law exists to protect children from names that could cause them social ridicule or embarrassment. Noble intent, unusual execution. This one comes from an old Scottish tradition of hospitality so ingrained that it became law. In Scotland, if a stranger knocks on your door and asks to use your bathroom, you are legally required to let them in. It stems from ancient Scottish common law that placed great importance on showing hospitality to travelers. Scotland's Land Reform Act has since modernized some of these traditions, but the core principle of allowing access still carries legal weight. So if you're ever road tripping through the Highlands and nature calls, you now know your rights. In Turin, Italy, it is illegal to not walk your dog at least 3 times a day. If you're caught neglecting this, you face a fine of up to 500 euros. Italy in general has some of the strictest animal welfare laws in Europe, and Turin has taken it further than most. There are also regulations in parts of Italy against dyeing your pet's fur for aesthetic reasons. On one hand, incredibly wholesome. On the other hand, imagine a rainy Tuesday when you really don't want to go outside. Here's one that could actually catch tourists off guard. In multiple Caribbean countries, including Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and Dominica, wearing camouflage clothing is completely illegal for civilians. The reason is serious. These governments don't want civilians being mistaken for military personnel, and they want to prevent paramilitary groups from blending in with tourists. In Barbados, wearing camo can get you a fine of up to $2,000, a year in jail, or both. Royal Caribbean actually alerts passengers about this before they dock. Headed to the Caribbean? Leave the camo at home. That cute army print bikini cover-up? Leave that too. In the United Arab Emirates, using foul language in public is illegal, and that includes online. Texts, WhatsApp messages, social media posts, all of it falls under UAE law if you're on their soil. Tourists have been arrested and deported for WhatsApp messages sent while in the country. In 2017, a British man was detained after a Facebook post was reported. The law applies to everyone: residents, tourists, expats. The UAE is one of the most visited destinations on Earth, so this is genuinely important to know. What you post on your phone in Dubai falls under Dubai's laws, full stop. And there you have it. 10 of the weirdest laws on the planet that are still active right now in 2026. From Norway's no dyeing rule to Singapore's war on gum, every one of these is real, verified, and still on the books. The world is a bizarre and wonderful place. And honestly, that's what makes travel so fascinating. Every country has its own rules, its own logic, and its own version of what makes sense. If you're planning to travel to any of these places, maybe double check the local laws before you pack. And if you found this interesting, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Which law shocked you the most? I'll see you in the next one.